Hi, everyone. This is Kate with Scottsdale Moms, and I am here with Amy Carney, leadership coach, author, parenting coach, just amazing all around person who I am honored enough to call friend. We met years ago through old guard blogging.
Yeah.
And since then, we have walked with each other through foster, adoption, parenting, motherhood, loving our husbands, you name it. So, Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, Parenting on Purpose?
Oh my gosh. Well, I started out as a writer, and like I said, I used to be a journalist, and then I became a blogger because that's what we do. And our family took a road trip. We pulled out of life 6 years ago and bought an RV and traveled the entire U.S. So that's when I started my blog, started freelancing from the road, and that journey kind of just catapulted me into talking about intentional living, intentional parenting, raising our kids with purpose. And so I began writing that, and now I've started creating products. And so it's more than just writing. I say it's helping, well, mostly moms, but a lot of dads follow me too, helping parents raise their kids with more joy and more purpose, not just reacting our way through this precious season, but really taking a hold of it and living with more purpose, which includes raising our kids with more purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the first times I got to spend a lot of time with you was photographing the adoption
Mhm.
of your son. And I would love for you to just kind of take us on a journey of how you came to know him and how he came to be part of your family.
Oh my gosh. Well, so to start off, I have my firstborn are triplet sons. So I have 19-year-old triplet sons, and then I had a daughter right a year and a half after them. So I have three 19-year-olds and an 18-year-old right now. And so adoption was not a part of, I didn't think a part of our plan, but obviously it was part of God's plan. So what happened was I was just reading the newspaper. We would get the Arizona Republic newspaper on Wednesdays. I don't know if anyone gets the newspaper anymore, but and I just started seeing the Wednesdays child section, and I would be drawn to that. And every week I'd find myself picking it up, reading the stories, feeling so bad for these kids, but I would shut the paper, put it away, and
Mhm.
move about my day. And then one day I was reading it, and the Lord convicted me. It was like, I'm talking to you, like you. And I was like, well, not us. Like, I have too
Yeah.
many kids. I'm busy. I had all the excuses, but I knew that my husband and I needed to go to aid of adoption of special kids, is the one who does Wednesday's Child. And we went to their information session, and then we began taking all the classes, and we became licensed foster parents, and that was in 2012. And we've just been on a journey ever since. And on my blog, I have a great 10-minute video that I've gotten to present for USA Today's storytellers several times. Goes through our whole journey from that moment of being convicted that we were a family that could help, and to fostering and it being really hard, and then closing our license, and then deciding to just do respite, and then closing our license and deciding to just mentor. And when I was mentoring, it's funny because I said, you know what, we're just going to take it easy. We're going to not bring these kids into our home. I'm going to go out and help, and I'm going to mentor. And it was beautiful. I loved it. I mean, I think mentoring is huge, and a huge way to help foster kids. So I was doing that, and I took my 13-year-old girl I was mentoring to Children's Heart Gallery, to the event where the kids are that are up for adoption in Arizona are there, getting their photos taken and their profiles written and everything to go online,
Mhm.
in the hopes of a family finding them and adopting them. So I took her there for that. And she is the one who introduced me to our son. And they had lived together in shelters for 2 years. And so when he walked through the door, she jumped up and was so excited to see him. And when she introduced me to him, immediately in my heart, it was like the Lord told me, this is our son. Like, we're to take care of him. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I wanted easy.
Yeah.
I don't, what? Adoption? We had never even, that wasn't something that we had seen our family doing. And so anyway, it was absolutely beautiful though, because we did adopt him, and that was nearly 5 years ago when you were in that courtroom with me, taking the photos. And it's just been a beautifully broken journey, and to see how far he's come and see how far our family has come with him in our home. It's just been amazing. But we are in the process of adopting again. So we have a 9-year-old, another son, that we're fostering right now, to adopt soon. So that's it in a nutshell.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love what you said about it was like you just kept tripping over it. Like, here it is again. Here's the paper, and then he just walks into your life. And that's very similar to what happened with us. We had many miscarriages after my second son, my second child, Nate, and who was 18 now.
Mhm.
And we wrote down the goal one year, look into adoption. By February, we were meeting him. By April, he was living with us, and that was it. And that was it. And we never, just from that one little goal, look into adoption. I was like, I don't know if it's right for us. I don't know, but we'll do some research. And then here he is, a part of our family, and he's been with us. He started living with us when he was 2, and his adoption was finalized when he was 3.5, and he just turned 10. So
Wow.
there you have it.
Wow.
So now foster care, I know you've done foster to adopt, that journey. So adoption wasn't the end goal for you guys. It was just stepping in the middle and fostering.
Right. We just thought we would foster, and we did do that with 3 different placements. And it was just never, because we never felt like we had the room or the time, all of it to take it on full time. And plus we had 4 biological kids. So it wasn't a need that we had. We didn't realize that it's not about us, right?
Yes.
It's about the child and their need. And that's coming to that realization, wow, we have what children need. We have what this child needs. And it's a really, I don't know, I don't want to say a struggle, but a push and pull to let go of your family dynamic, to let go of this family of 6 that we just loved and cherished. And we knew that adopting a child from a traumatic past was going to disrupt that. And I think that is one of the main reasons people don't do it. Like,
Yes.
I think they're scared, people, I was too.
Yeah.
And there's still days that I
Absolutely.
grieve that family unit we had, right? And
Oh yeah.
so I think that we have to get realistic with knowing that when we do this, there's a big balance of, like I said, beautiful and hard, but more beautiful as time goes on, I think, and our expectations get less or lower, of what we thought family was going to be or raising kids was going to be. So I just think, letting go of what we think is best for us and our family, and being willing to say, this is for the child.
Yeah, it is.
It's for the child.
I think, yeah, I absolutely relate to every word. Especially as Nate turns 18, and knowing that if that had been the end of our journey, we would kind of be done parenting. And there is a small part of me that's like, I'm not 50 yet, and we would be quote unquote done. You're never done,
Right.
but we would have kids out of the house. Our lives would look very different, very, very different. But in that same breath, being so thankful that God did not stop our story there, that we continued to walk. And I tell people this all the time. You touched on it, that adopting someone from a traumatic background, that's very challenging. It's very hard. It brings its own kind of plate full of stuff with it. But I have learned more about love and more about motherhood from him than I ever learned from my first 2. Because it's really easy to love kiddos that sometimes it's very easy to love kiddos that, were in your womb and that you had all those little moments and firsts with, and little things like they smell like you,
Mhm.
you know, and it's not like that when you adopt. For us, we started living with us at 2. I didn't have those sweet memories to hold on to, but God has absolutely shown me that family does not look like a Gap commercial, does not look like all of us dressed up for a photo shoot in cute plaid shirts and on a beach. It doesn't look like that. It looks like his kingdom. And it looks
Amen.
like us all being different and
Mhm.
beautiful and worthy of love. And I think
Yes.
that is what I knew in my
Yeah.
head. And now this journey has finally gotten it to my heart that we are, all of us, are worthy of love, of his love.
That's it. And are we willing to sacrifice for that?
Are we?
Are we? I mean, that's my biggest struggle. Am I willing to sacrifice my comfort, right? My ease. I love that. I didn't even realize we're at the same place because my daughter's 18 and that would have been, we would be empty nesters coming
Yeah.
up this fall. So I didn't, that's so cool that we're in the same thing. And I'm actually grieving that a little bit. I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest. Like I seeing everyone else, right? Their kids are launching and they're going to, now go into the space of
Oh, they're
empty
gonna
nesting.
travel, they're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah. And
Right.
that's not where we are. And
That's not where we are. And amen for
yeah,
that. I mean, but then again, I'm
exactly.
like, well, wait a minute. I don't know. I'm just feeling this weird space right now that I'm grieving that we're not going to get this empty nest right now. But I'm also super happy about it because what do I want that for right now? Like I am turning 50 this year, and it's like I don't know what a blessing that I gonna have these other boys that I get to pour into, that I get to teach, that I get to train up, that I get to love. That, like you said, that's key. Like you are worthy of love,
Yeah.
right? And we can show you what that looks like.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And that's what amazes me is how much capacity we actually have as moms and parents and women, and that we have this capacity that we think is very finite. And
Mhm.
I thought, okay, 2 kids, that's, now we're not outnumbered. He has, he's in charge of one, I'm in charge of one, we're fine. And then you add a third and you start, now you added all 3 at once,
Yeah,
so
I don't know about this.
but then, for us, along came 2 more bio kids. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother
Mhm.
day. But 2 beautiful. So then I have Mary Alice, who is now 6, and Sebastian, who's 4. And so and our first true like definition fostering was just this last year with a little baby girl. And that was amazing. I would love for you to share with moms or parents that are watching, what was the biggest thing that surprised you about your first round foster caring through the state, I'll say.
Oh my gosh, my first round is, let me tell you, has been much different than this round because I've learned so much. It's hard. I mean, it's a lot. It's a ton of paperwork.
Yes.
It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot. And I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, I've learned a lot through it, but I also learned that can't stop us. That can't, because that can totally, I mean, it did stop us at one point. Like, I just don't have the energy or the time for this. But yeah, I don't know, but I've met some amazing people that work for DCS, and amazing people that have walked this journey with us. After we get off with this, I've got 2 meetings today. I've got a foster care review board court thing I need to be on, and then I've got a call with our worker with my licensing agency. So it's daily, probably things that I need to do for him. But I also try and remember that it's a privilege.
Yeah.
It's a privilege that I can advocate
Yes.
for this child that otherwise wouldn't have someone advocating for him. So it can be a lot. It's a juggle. I'm thankful that my husband I have a partner in this as well. And our older kids are amazing, and as I'm sure yours are, right? It just expanded our family in such a different way
Yeah.
that, I mean, to watch my older kids mentor them and love on them, and, fight with them, or, just show them what
Yes.
real family looks like, siblings look like. But it's difficult because we take in older kids. So, we foster, we've always been like 6 to 10.
Yeah.
And you don't realize when kids are that age, they're not as wanted. It's
Yeah.
the babies that people want. And me, forget
Yep.
that. No way. I want a kid that's going to go to school. I'm not getting up in the night. So we've enjoyed this age group. And it's an age group that is really needed. Families are needed for older kids.
Yep.
And so as much as I say it's a lot, but it's also not. It's
Yeah.
it's doable, and you learn along the way. And like I said, I'm so much more flexible now than
Yes.
when we started this. And if you just keep focused on the goal, that it's for the
Yeah.
child, it's not about me and my schedule and interrupting that. I can't go to the luncheon that everyone's going to.
Right.
I can't go to this because, my focus is here, and it's just for a season. I say right now we're in a little season of sacrifice,
Yeah.
because that's what fostering kind of is.
Yeah.
But I'm also huge on pulling in community. I'm not doing this alone.
Right.
So that's what people think, right? And so I'm not going to do this alone. I pull in people, whoever we need to do this successfully for all of us.
Right.
My husband and I are still going to go on dates. We're still going to try and take little vacations or whatever to make it work for us, because that is our priority.
Yeah.
And we don't want
Absolutely.
to lose sight of that, and you can easily lose sight of that. So that's one thing I would say. If people do go out on a limb, like, pull your people in, find people, find your support groups. I mean, just talking to you, I wish I could do this every week, because you need to be with people too that are in the ring, that are,
Yes, because they understand in a way that I completely agree. They understand there is. So what I was really surprised about was exactly what you said. The meetings, the paperwork, especially that first couple months, it feels like there is constantly someone coming to the house to make sure that everything is going well, that they're developmentally well, that it's safe, and and it really, they're doing that out of support. And I think it was a big realization for me to realize, I'm doing this on behalf of the state, and they're responsible for this kiddo. So if I put myself in their shoes, of course I'm going to be knocking on your door, making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do as a foster parent, and that the kids are safe, and that they have anything medical and nutritional that they need, and counseling. And I think when I finally shifted my mindset to, okay, the state is caring for this kiddo, I just happen to be the one honored enough that they're in my home.
Mhm.
That helped my thinking, because at first it was like, wait, I just met with you yesterday, didn't I? No,
I
okay,
know.
you're a different group. And yeah, it was
It's all perception. I think it's our perception and how we approach it. It's our
absolutely.
approach, right? And like you said, if you can shift your thinking and what the goal is, then
Yes.
you can do it so much better. I can, be in, like I
Yeah.
said, meetings. I mean, we're 5 months in, and the meetings don't change really. It's
Right.
just your approach and your perception that change. And
Yeah.
like I said, I get it. I'm thankful, right? I'm thankful
Yep.
that people care, that they care.
Absolutely. That they're checking up, and like you, our case managers have been really amazing people who
Mhm.
really, really care about what is going on with that child, and just have their heart in making sure that child is safe. Our foster kiddo was, I'm gonna try not to cry. When we
Mhm.
moved, she went to live with her great aunt,
Mhm.
and we found out Friday she was scheduled for reunification just in time for
Oh,
Mother's Day weekend. And so
oh,
it's just the coolest.
it
And
is.
watching the birth parents, they have worked so hard.
Mhm.
They have
Mhm.
poured everything into making sure that their place is safe, that they're doing the right thing, and it's hard on them. I mean, there are hours and hours of things that they have to do. And
Mhm.
our case managers were just really amazing of, um, making sure that we had the support and knew kind of what the next steps were. And then at the same time, being really strict and holding everybody accountable for the safety of that baby and making sure that all is well. And so I do want to let people know that my experience with DCS has been positive.
Mine as well.
Yeah. You hear things, but that's not been my experience. They've been great and kind and communicative and yeah. So
We should get that narrative out there more too, because like you said, you
should.
just hear all the negative. And there is negative, but like you said, maybe we need to talk more about our personal, good experiences
Absolutely. Yeah.
with them. So,
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that changed about me going through foster care is um that I went through this shift of thinking, okay, I'm going to do this because I can give them what they need. I can be this amazing whatever. And then I went through this shift of, well, they were actually put in that family. They were put in that family for a reason. They were put in that family. And what did that family have that they're not going to get now from me? And just this really arrogant thought that because of whatever, because I have other kids or because whatever, I think it's easy, especially with, where we live or my education or whatever, we can really get caught up in this arrogant, like, I'm going to be better for this kid. I'm going to be awesome. And I think that is one thing that has been stripped away from me is that it is not about that
right.
at all.
No.
It is about the kid. It's about the love you can give a kid. It is about things that they're going to learn from their family that you'll never be able to really teach them. And if reunification is possible, if that is the path, then that's a beautiful, amazing, restorative path.
Yes.
And I think that's been my biggest lesson is that, yeah, that's great that we've got a house where we could fit another kid. That's awesome. That doesn't really mean as much as I thought it did. That there are all types of mothers who pour love into their kid, regardless of their background or situation. And that was very humbling for me to learn and to let that be stripped away,
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting because even this morning I was having a conversation with our foster son about his mom, and he was, because then, now he's with us. And so I'm his first mom figure, probably since his mom.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of, he compares us, right? So he compares us and he's really down on his mom, and for many reasons.
Sure.
But I'm always there to remind him, no, your mom loved you. Your mom, she just was broken herself. And then, we can pray for your mom. Like, I'm not trying to replace her. Like you said, I just know that I'm there to teach him and to raise him up into the man that she couldn't, right?
Yes.
That she wasn't able herself to do. And so it's a privilege. And when I can remember that, things are much better.
It is so true. It is so true. And to remember that, I'll never forget one of our first counselors, the transition counselor sat down with us and she was like, you've got to remember they wouldn't be here if everything was cupcakes and unicorns.
Right.
They're here because it's hard and they've been through trauma and things are tough. And there's going to be some tough conversations that I know for me they were uncomfortable conversations about when he started asking questions and got old enough to ask questions about what had happened and where he had been and why do I have this memory and what was this? And that was hard. But at the same time, to know that now we can help him walk through that and file it away in a place where it's part of his story and I can't make it go away.
No.
But I can help him to the other side of that.
Exactly.
And I can help him put his story where he says, okay, that's what happened to me. And have to live my life that way. I don't have to be a victim. I can,
That's right.
God has plans for me and
That's
I'm
right.
worthy of love. So yeah,
That's
it's
right.
been a
That's
journey.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a journey. It is a journey, but it's a worthwhile one. It's
absolutely.
a worthwhile
Absolutely.
one. So,
Well, if there's anything you want to leave all of our moms with about um, foster care from
mhm,
your perspective and um, maybe how to get involved, the different ways to get involved.
mhm.
If somebody feels like, it's tugging on their heart that maybe they should get involved in foster care, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I meet people all the time that say, it's been on my heart. That's when you know that you're being called to it. So you might as well surrender it
Right.
and take the next
Get it over
first,
with.
just get it over with because that child needs you, whatever child is out there for you. And it may not even be, you don't even know where it's leading you if you're not willing to take the first step. And so that's the biggest thing. It takes a while to even get licensed because, people will see children up for adoption or whatever. Well, you can't just go and adopt that child.
Right.
It's a long process to go through before you even do that. So I say, reach out to me, reach out to you to find out, what agency to even start looking at.
Yeah.
And they have information sessions. Just go to the information session, see if that heart is still tugging, and it will be. And then you can kind of begin classes if that's the next step for you, or see how that fits into your schedule. And then the good thing is, if you get through that, which many people don't,
Right.
I forgot the low percentage that even get through the classes and get licensed. Here in Arizona, your license is good for 2 years.
Mhm.
So even this time, we didn't know why we were reopening. We just decided, you know what, we need to be licensed though to be a vessel for the Lord. I mean, you just do to do foster care, you have to be licensed. So
Yeah.
we went through the process, and it was difficult because now our 18-year-olds, my boys at the time, they had to do it all too, all the
Right.
paperwork,
Absolutely. The interviews, the
the
paperwork.
interviews,
Yep.
the CPR classes.
Yep.
So they were like, "Are you kidding me? Like, we're what?" And we're like, but they did it. They did it. We all did it, and we had no idea why we were doing it necessarily. And it's an amazing, beautiful story that I hope I can share one day. But like 2 weeks after we were licensed, this boy that it's only God how we knew him, and it's a long story, but here he is. And it's like, if we hadn't have taken that step, right? If
Yeah.
we hadn't have taken that first step again of reopening our license, and so that's it. It's just a series of steps. So if it's on your heart, you just go to an information meeting, you reach
Right.
out to a foster parent, you just start getting connected, and then you take the next step. And then I don't know, just for me, I let the Lord lead. And then, and I'm not drag my feet too a little. Like sometimes it just takes me a little while to get it done, and go easy on yourself. But if you just remember the end goal is that child, it's not about me, it's not about us, but
Yeah.
it's what God has given us that we can provide a child in need. And that will keep you, I think, going along the path, and then connecting with community, like-minded people that are brave. It's brave. It's great when people say you're amazing. I'm like, absolutely, that's not a word to describe me at all. Like, right? I mean, it's like but it is courageous. I do say we are courageous, because it does take courage. It does take courage to become a foster parent, um, but I don't think you'll ever regret it.
No, I've
I
never
mean,
met another foster parent that looked back and regretted um or said that they were sad that they did it. They always talk about how their family grew,
yes.
how they grew as a person,
Hmm.
and that their perspective has just completely shifted and changed.
Right.
And I mean, that's what we're in this life for, right? To
Hmm.
continue growing, to continue learning and learning what on earth we're doing here.
Yeah, and we can't let our excuses stop us.
No,
Because I
there's a
can be
lot of
really,
excuses.
there's a lot of excuses, and I've got them. I had them.
Absolutely.
It's easy. It's easier to have the excuses. Well, I can't because of this and this and this. Yeah, we've all got those. Every one
Oh,
of us
yeah.
that are fostering has had those excuses. But I don't know. Yeah.
No, we had even down to, so we had 5 kids and they fit in our car. So
Hmm.
we can't foster because, they just don't fit in our car. Well, within a week, and they didn't know it, Brian's parents were actually, they had a big Suburban. They were downsizing because they didn't want to deal with parking it anymore, and said, do you guys want to buy it? Because we're done with it. And I was like, well, there went the last excuse. Now we can fit kiddos in our car. And
Right. So you were
yeah,
out of excuses.
totally out of excuses. And I
Oh
love
my
how,
gosh.
and I feel like I hear that happen all the time. Somebody will
Mhm.
have an excuse and it's like, well, get that one done.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
True.
and I love how we're laughing about it too. You gotta laugh like me. Yeah. I just want to mentor because I want to not bring it into my home. I just want to keep it out there. And like, oh, the Lord's like, really? Okay. That's funny because you're about to adopt, like
Right.
because of this child you're mentoring now.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I mean, it just makes me smile when I see this journey that we've been on. It's been a hard journey,
Hmm.
but an amazing journey, and it's not over. I mean, who knows
I know.
what's coming next. But to be able to bring in an older child and help bring them up into the men that that God created them to be is there's nothing better that I could be doing with my life.
No,
And
exactly.
if it means going on these meetings today and
Absolutely.
taking my time, you know what, for that child, I will do that.
That's
Um,
what's been so interesting is I know this past year and a half, I mean, my plate's just been emptied over and over and over to make space for things that I would have never thought would happen.
mm,
And then there I was rocking a baby in the middle of the night and completely in love. And I think that's one thing that all of our neighbors would say, well, aren't you getting attached? Aren't you? Of
mm,
course I am.
mhm,
Of course. Of course. And when we, gave her to her great aunt, of course that was hard. Of course. Driving away that day was absolutely brutal.
mm,
And I pulled over and I cried and I bought a Starbucks and I cried some more and I drove down the road and bought another Starbucks and cried some more.
yeah.
And it was brutal, but it was not for me. It was
Mhm,
for her because if she can learn how to attach and know that she's loved and that she's heard and that she's safe for the rest of her life, she's going to have a little bit more foundation, a little bit more safety, a little
mhm,
bit more trust, that all of those things will build that foundation for, okay, now she can learn the next thing she's supposed to learn instead of constantly struggling with that trauma of, am I safe? Where am I?
amen, amen. I have the same, like I said, we took in older kids, and I had a 12-year-old foster daughter, um, and that's hard because at 12 you can really see the difference of
Yeah.
your family on the Navajo reservation where you're living with no electricity, and you come to my home in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Okay.
Uh,
It's night and day and a struggle for her. But she went back, and it was hard. It was sad. It's hard and sad. But she still reaches out to me.
yeah.
That's the cool thing with older kids too, is because you create this relationship, and she
Yes.
knows she can still count on me to give her support and advice. And I can tell when she's not getting it because she'll reach out to me, and I'll still tell her how amazing she is. And that,
Yeah.
um, but it's hard because you watch them go back to a situation where in my house she was thriving too. She was thriving, and I could see the gifts and I could bring those out in her. And then she goes back home where she's not getting that anymore. And now she has not graduated high school, and but she'll still reach out, and I'll encourage her, like, you can do this, you got this. And so um it's always hard to let them go. I
Yeah,
mean, especially when they're not going back to a good situation, because that happens too.
it does. It does. And that's when I think we have to let go and just go, okay, their journey and their story, I'm not in control of.
That's right.
I'm a blip on the radar and I want to be a good blip.
That's
And
right.
I,
And
yeah,
at the end of their lives, whether they're 3 months, 4 months old, or they're 16,
yeah,
at the end, you want them to look back and remember that time in your home was a
yes,
loving safe time, and they learned something, they glimpse, took something away that changed them for the better.
Right. I always tell people that this journey, so adoption and fostering, I now have family that they are really family to me. We're very close with the birth parents that
Mhm.
I will never, I don't ever see a time in our future that we won't have them in our lives.
Mm.
They're just amazing people. Their journeys are incredible. They've taught me so much about what it's like to fall down and get back up. Something that by the grace of God, I never have experienced. And yeah, it's been this really cool journey. That's another thing I want to tell people listening is in Arizona, especially, you have support. All you have to do is ask. There are Facebook groups, there are groups
Mhm.
that meet in person, there are countless agencies and foundations that are there to help you through this, to answer
Absolutely.
every question and to get you the things that you need. A crib,
Yeah.
counseling, whatever it is.
Yeah, bikes, paid
Yes.
for summer camps. I mean, yeah, there's so many resources,
Yep.
and people that, like you said, I'm glad you brought that up, because we're not meant to do this alone. We don't want to do it alone. For me, I know I wouldn't be successful
Me
um,
either.
doing it alone, and so I'm so thankful I don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
So I hope people join us in this effort, because we need good families, strong families, willing to sacrifice,
Yes.
willing to
Willing
sacrifice
willing to
for a
get
life.
attached. Yep. Willing to take the
Willing,
chance
yeah,
and
willing to
to,
attach and know that it's for a time, and you don't know what the outcome is. And so going into without expectation of an outcome,
yeah,
right? That you're just going to love on that child for today. And even me, we're fostering to adopt. We don't know what the plan is tomorrow, right?
I
It
know.
could all turn, and we
Yeah.
just don't know. So for today, I'm just going to love on that child the best that I can in today. And it's
Yes.
not always it's very imperfect,
Right. Right. But yeah,
very imperfect, but we're doing it.
we're doing it
We're doing it.
one day at a time. Well, Amy, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that if you are a mom out there and you are considering foster care, feel free to shoot either of us an email. Um, I'll put Amy's website and contact information below so that you can, you know where to find her information. But it's been a beautiful thing, and I hope you join us. Join us in the journey.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, as always. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.